In this video, we will see how to use the Garmin Instinct 3. It's kind of a user guide. I'm gonna use the AMOLED model because it's the very same thing on both watch. It's just that the display is a bit different. Well, in fact, it just looks way better on the AMOLED with all its color. It's more precise. And not that the solar system is a bad model, but it's just visually more interesting to make that demo. So here we've got a watch face. First thing we need to know before diving into that is how to operate the watch. This is the most important step because once you understand how to operate it, you can go wherever you want. You can discover the watch by yourself and not worry about breaking something or anything. So here's the basic. There is 5 buttons. This one is made to select. This one is made to go back. This one is made to go up. This one is made to go down. And this one is the light and access to some other things that we will see a bit later. So if I want to go down, I can use that button. And now we are into another menu on which we will come back a bit later. But as you can see, here I can go down, here I can go up, and here I can select, and here I can go back. So just remember, select, back, up, down. Once you just understand that, that's a lot. Down, up, select, back. From there you can go anywhere. But there's also the up button. As you can see, it says up, down, start, stop, and back. But there's also double features. As you can see here, it says menu. And to access the menu, I have to press and hold the button. And you will always end up on the menu on what you are right now. So as you can see here, I'm on the weather. If I press and hold that button, I have access to the weather options. And if I select it, I'll have update current location, temperature. If I want to change it to Fahrenheit to Celsius, there is sub menu on everything. If I go on sunrise, sunset here, reorder glance. So this one doesn't have any option, but we are into the glance. This is the glance menu. So if I want to change this, reorder glance, I can put the sunrise and sunset to somewhere else and select it. If I go back, we are now on the watch face. If I press and hold that button, I have access to the watch face menu. And all the time, you have access to the menu of what you are right now. But if you go below that line, it's the general menu of the watch. All right. Then let's start with the watch face, because it's probably something that you want to edit to put at your taste. So if you want to modify it, press and hold on the menu, select watch face. Then you are able to select some other watch face. And if you go at the very bottom, you can add a new watch face. And then you have a lot of watch face. Personally, I like this one, so I select this one. And then you can apply to just keep it, or you can change the data. As you can see here, there's a blinking data. From here, I can switch the data that is inside that box. And I can switch the data, I can switch of box by pressing on GPS. Now I can switch that data with those 2 buttons. Now I can switch that one, and I can go back. Do you want to save change? Actually, no. If you want to deep dive into that, I can explain you what is the possibility for every data fields, and the video is just right here. I'll explain everything about the watch face. Then we had the Glace, or the widget, depending on the watch that Garmin released. That one seems it's the Glace. So the information you have on top, it's the date, the percentage of the battery, and the time remaining according to that actual usage that we are doing. So actually the watch is in always display mode, so it remains on all the time. The battery lasts longer, but you can see that, we'll come back on this later, but if I turn on the flashlight, you can see that now I only have 13 hours of battery. If I turn it off, I'm back to my, should see it soon, 7-day. Turn it on, bigger brightness, 5 hours, lower brightness, 3 days. So you know that you can remain on that mode for that amount of time. Thank you. Then the weather. Let's go into the weather. We can see the actual weather, the forecast for the day, the wind, the humidity. And if I go down here, you can see there's 4 pages inside here. We've got the hourly weather. You see there's 3 dots here. We can switch the page here to got a 12-hour forecast. As we have a bit later, that's the daily forecast. Another 12-hour trend, and the quality of air. Go back, go down. Sunrise. Here, wonderful thing. We've got a graph of the day. We're actually right here, nearly 3 o'clock. We've got the sunrise time, the sunset time, the dawn and the dusk. And if I hit here, I can change the date or even the location. That's all built in the watch. And if I want to go to tomorrow or in a month, whatever, I can see what's happening. We can see that the sunrise is always earlier and the sunset is always later. So I can know that on April 21, that will be the time of everything for where I am. Was there something else over here? We've got this graph and those information also. Health. If we go inside here, I can see my actual body battery, which is like the percentage of the battery of the watch, but for your body. This is an estimate, of course. You have your sleep score. Actually, I did not wear it for a while, so there is no sleep score here. You can calculate your naps. You can see your actual earth rate. And if I was wearing it since a few hours, we would have been able to see a graph. HRV status. This is something about the heart for when you are sleeping. Number of steps of the day. The oxygen in your blood. You can do that calculation over here if you take a reading. What else? Training effect, calendar, moon set. So we can see the set and rise time and the percentage of the moon that is available right now. By date, we've got everything. Notification that are the one coming from your phone. And if we go on edit, we can have access to those widgets. If I press on the pen, we would be able to choose where we want to have it. And if I go on add, you have a bunch of other glance that you can add over here. Try them if you wish. Next menu, one that is very practical, and we will come to the activity. I keep that for the end. I don't want to go there right now because I think most people think it's just an activity watch, but it's a huge tool. It's a very huge tool. Let's press and hold the menu and go down to clocks. Over here, we have access to alarms that are very well done. So first thing you can do is to set an alarm. So let's say tomorrow I want to wake up at 10:10. And there it's already set up, but I don't want to have it this way. So I will go down to that pen. I will go down again on the pen. And then status is on. Perfect. I've got the time. Repeat. Actually, it's on off. So it will only ring ons. But if I select that, I can have it daily, weekdays, weekend, or custom. On custom, I can choose which day I want to have it every week. I'll leave that on repeat off. Then, oops, and this one. Sound and vibe. What I like to do is to only have the vibration. This way it doesn't ring, doesn't wake up anybody if you're sleeping with someone, or in a dorm, or whatever. You never wake up anybody. You have it on your wrist, you will probably feel it. You can add a label if you want, or delete it. I'll go back. Actually, I will disable it. And go back. All right, next, timer. You can set a timer, so minutes. You can go back, switch hours, select, choose second, and you can start that timer. You got a graph all around the watch for the time percentage, and you got your time, and at the end it will ring. You got a stopwatch. It's a regular stopwatch on which you can use app that I personally use for billing my customer. Because at the end, you can even save that activity and it will go on your Garmin Connect. So my billing invoice, my billing is actually saved online and I'm sure to not lose it. It's well done. Time sync, if you want to sync with your phone or over GPS, you can simply select it. And as you can see, it is now syncing with the phone. This is done. It's actually in auto, so you never have to do it, really. You can set up alternate time zone, and you can set alarm. Alarm before sunset, sunrise. You can set also storm alert. This is based on the power meter, so if you set this to on, if it drops of 4 millibar in 3 hours, or 5, or 3, you can have an alert, meaning that there's a storm incoming, probably, or hourly beeps. So that was for the clocks. Yes. All right. Then let's explore the menu even further. Oh no, before the flashlight. It's a tool that I really like. Once you have one on your watch, you can't go back to a watch that doesn't have it. So you only have to double press over here to turn on the flashlight. And when you do, for a second or two, you have that graph that let you control the intensity of the light. After a few seconds, it disappears. If you go to the very bottom, you got red, and you can go up to that intensity. If you do nothing, it disappears, and then those buttons return to normal. But you can press and hold it, and have access to those, how do they call it? Controls. So we've got an energy server here that I can enable or disable. That will pass from 7 days to 24 days. But when you are into that mode, your watch becomes very boring. See, we now have the time and the date. So it's a very expensive watch to display time and date on a plastic watch. So I don't see the point of using that. Connection disable. Okay, now it's because we were going out. Music control. That's music control. If you have music playing on your phone, Spotify, Tidal, Deezer, whatever, you can control it from over here. That watch cannot have music inside it, but it can control the music of your phone. By the way, if you want to have access to that application, wherever you are on the watch, you can press and hold that button, and it will bring you to that page. Actually, I'm not sure if it was like that by default, because as I can see here, we've got the ABC that we did not see. We're gonna get out of control. There's something that I like to have. Actually, I'm gonna add it. So can I add glance? Yes, I'm gonna add ABC. ABC is that glance where you can see in which direction you are going. You also have your actual elevation. The barometer with that straight arrow means that the atmospherical pressure is stable. That's the actual elevation, and the one for the last 4 hours. You can see it's dropping just a little bit, but not enough so that we can see an arrow on the previous page. So that's the ABC. Actually, I did change that button to have that music app anywhere. It's because it's like that on most Garmin watches, but on this one they didn't build it that way, and we will see a bit further how to do that. So let's return to those controls. You got wallet. If your credit card is compatible with the watch, you can add it. We've got the torch, flashlight as we saw earlier, but now we have a menu on which we can control the light intensity again. But if now I'm holding it, I can have access to a strobe. There we go. It was also available right there, the strobe. Redshift will turn your screen into red. Might be good at night. You can lock the device. That's great. Now you cannot do anything. Hold any key to unlock. All right. Oops. What else? Sleep mode. When you are into sleep mode, everything turned dark. And this, because it's the AMOLED display, this is what we have. A very boring screen. Because on an AMOLED screen, every pixel that you see produces light. So if you're sleeping with it, you want to have it dark with less information. By default, they've done the same thing on the solar system, but I recommend to disable that feature. That way we'll see a bit later. So you can keep all your information on the watch face. This one is weird because the display is always on. You can turn off your watch over here. You can find your phone. This is a very interesting feature. So if you don't know where your phone is, you press over here. And as you can hear in the background, there's my phone ringing. You can enable a do not disturb, and we've done the tour, except that if you press and hold the menu, again, you have access to that menu on which you can add controls. And there you also have a lot of controls. Some of them are the same that we have seen into Glace. Then, let's access the main menu. Before that, we have seen that we can power off the watch by going over here. But you can also do it by holding that button for many seconds until it goes off. And you can power on the watch the same way. So the menu, press and hold the menu, go down to here. Activities in the app is just a menu on which you can manage your activity, but you can do that also directly on the activity. So I don't really see the point of doing that over here. Notification and alerts, smart notification about your phone. So call, text, apps, you can manage those things over here. System alerts. So if you want to have alerts about time, barometer, phone connection, health and wellness, and all those things, you can manage those alerts over here. Personally, I put the less alerts possible. Appearance. You can modify your watch face over here, your glance, but as we have just saw, we can modify those things directly from the glance, from everything. Don't need to go over here. Sensors and accessories, this is where you're gonna go if you want to connect something new. Have new wrist heart rate, pulse oximeter, compass, those kind of things. If you want to connect external one, that's where you want to go. On the map, track orientation, you can change it for track up or north up. It's as you wish. You can enable or disable some features. Connectivity. If you want to connect your phone, if you want to pair your phone, that's over here that this happen. User profile to set your age, height, and those kind of thing. Safety. Incident detection. If you want to enable it on an activity, this is where you can do it. By default, it's enabled everywhere. Personally, I like to disable it because it does, for me, some kind of false alert. If I brake too hard on my bike, it's an accident. If I clap my shoes together, it's an accident. And it kind of ruin your activity because it stop your activity and create a new activity for incident. And no, I just don't like it. Emergency contact, it's something that you can configure into the Garmin Connect app. So if you have that incident, it will send a text message and or an email to them to say that, oh, there's something wrong with your friend and he is right there with the actual position. You need your phone for this and you need an internet connection to do it. Health and wellness. Heart rate, status on while swimming. You got some few options in here. That's the oxygen checker. You can set it to manual or you can set it to all day, but that will drain the battery even more. Navigation settings. There's a lot of stuff. Power manager, that one is interesting. So battery saver, yes, that's the option we saw earlier, but the power modes are kind of interesting. So power modes dictate what the watch will use. So we're talking about GPS, phone connection, heart rate sensor, GPS precision. You have those default mode. So you see extended is GPS only. Now we'll use GPS and we'll give 24 hours of battery. But this one will disable the heart rate and the phone connection. That will improve to 46 hours. The max accuracy, so a very precise satellite, will only give 15 hours. The jacket mode will disable the heart rate, give 17 hours, or you can create your own. So if I select this, let's say I'll name it A, you can choose the satellite. So turn off GPS only, and it tells you, see by default it's 0. By default it's all system, but if you want to go on all plus multi-band, it's -2 hours. Automatic should be +3 hours. Ultra track, that record, I think it's 1.2 every minute, will give you 26 more hours. And if I go to GPS only, I would have 7 more hours. Do I want to connect the phone? Disconnect +0 hours. Doesn't change much, so don't change. Wrist heart rate. Turn off +hours. Doesn't change much neither. But as you can see, you can choose what option you want to have for those features that drain the battery. Let's not save it. But you see, we have the A over here. If I don't want it anymore, I can remove it. What else? Battery percentage. By default, I think it's off. I like to leave it on so I can see the time remaining, but also the battery percentage and the battery estimate. So that's the time remaining. And system. That's another sub menu. Here you can choose the language. Between all of those language, there's quite a lot of language. use it. And set the time. Choose between AM, PM, 24-hour mode, and military. Military is the same thing as 24-hour mode, but with no dot in between. No calling. Date format, you can choose here. You can set the time. It's on auto by default, but if you want to set it manually, you can. But you cannot change the date. This is how it is. What else? Display. Here, you can choose, you can have large font. And then there's 3 options for the display. You can choose what you want to have during an activity, and this will be all activity. General use, which is just like right now, and during sleep. So let's say general use. I did set it to the always on display. The brightness, you can choose to have it, actually just for the demo, I'm gonna raise it up to the top. You can enable the red shift, alerts, wrist gesture, timeout, and I'll push it up to 15 seconds right now. Just for the demo, not something that I recommend. But for during sleep, if for example you want to have that red shift all the time, you can enable it. And you can even choose the color. If you want it to have green or orange, that's something that you can do. Satellite, I don't know why we have it here again. Sound and vibe, if you want to have beep for every time you touch a button. Vibration, key vibe, those options are over here. The sleep mode, here you can schedule your sleep time. That will help the watch to track it. You can choose to have a sleep watch face. As I said earlier, this is the watch face where there is not much, but for the AMOLED display, that's a great thing. You can enable the do not disturb. You choose the option you want to have during your sleep. There's the do not disturb feature here. Hotkeys. This one is important because every button can have multiple features. So as you can see here, the start button, when I hold it, I choose to change sport. So when I'm into an activity, if I hold that button, I have the ability to change sport. Hold back, I did set it to go back to the watch face. If I hold down, that's the music control. That's what I was telling you earlier. If I got start plus down, there's actually nothing. So I can go into that feature and select something. There's the altimeter, barometer, compass that we saw earlier. We could have a direct access to the alarm clock. We can have access to all of those features, and there's a lot of explanation to go into that menu, as you can see. So I made a full video about this, and it's available just right here. I highly recommend it. It's really worth it. Auto lock format. This is to format the watch. So if you want to reset it, it's over here. USB connection, reset. No, sorry. It's not that kind of format. Format is for the units. So you choose what kind of units you want to have for distance, pace, speeds, elevation, weight, height, temperature, pressure, vertical speed. You want to have meters, miles, foot, whatever, you can choose it over here. Then this is the reset. You can choose to reset it to default without erasing anything. You can delete all activity, delete totals, or just fully factory reset it with that feature over here. And then you've got software update that you can check over here, but if it's on auto, you should not have to go there. It will update during the night. You won't realize it. And about, which is the information about the watch. Then let's go back to that main page. Whoops, we are on battery saver. No, thank you. All right. I think we are now arrived to the activity. So hit the GPS button to start an activity. From here, I have my favorite activity list. So I could choose an activity and start it. But if you want to add another one, you will want to go at the very bottom of that page. Yes, there's a lot of feature over here. You can navigate into it and try it. I never use those. Just never. So we will go and add. And from here, you can add some other activities. So if I go into cycling, I will have every kind of cycling available. And it's the same thing for all of those categories. So you can add activities from here. About the multisport, it is not something that I personally use because as you saw earlier, if I press and hold the GPS button, I can switch activity, which will make a multisport activity. So I don't use that feature here because I have to choose what I will do, and I'm not a guy that is into planning. So let's go for a hike. Select the hike. You can have access to this menu before, which will let you choose training, navigation tools, those kind of thing, and so on. Again, I will pass on this one very quickly. I've made a full tutorial video about this. But basically, what you need to know is that when you want to start your activity, you just hit that start button. Let's restart that. You are on the watch face, you want to start an activity. It is very simple. You press on the GPS button, you select the activity you want to do. So let's say I want to do a walk. You select that and you start the activity. That's it. It's already started. The GPS is not already accurate. Actually, I'm inside. I never wait for that. Just go outside, start walking. Don't care about it. It will find the GPS signal quite quickly. Here, the page is not set up. I probably screwed up when I made a tutorial. But then you can change page. Actually, I did not even put more page. But if you want to modify your activity, you can press and hold the menu button, go into walk settings, and change the data screens. Use the pen, and then change the data fields, and then you can choose everything you want to have into the data fields. And there's a lot of possibilities into data fields. This is why I made a separate video about this. So when you're done with your activity, you can press the button over here. It will stop the activity. Actually, it's more paused. You can resume the activity. You can save it. You can say resume later, which will bring you back to the main screen. And when you're ready to take it back, press start, and you're back on the page. Start the activity, and it started. Stop it. And then what are the other options? There's actually now a change sport feature over here. So my change sport is not that useful anymore. You can create lap, go back to start, recovery heart rate, and actually we will discard that activity to delete it. And now I think that's pretty much done. The tour of that Garmin Instinct. And again, as you can see on the solar model, it's the very same option that we have. It just looks different, but we have access to system, those things that we saw. We have access to here, those activity. I can start a hike. It's just displayed differently, but it's the same principle about the menu. It's just the display that is different. So I hope this video was helpful.